What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leone American living here in Accra, Ghana. And if you want to know what life has been like for me over the last 14 months, or want to get an update about life, an update on what life is like 14 months in, then this is the video for you. All right. We are live. We're back, guys. I didn't go live on Instagram last week. I had some some special guests last week. I hope you enjoyed. We don't have them today, but I did go live with them yesterday. So those of you who were able to join, happy to see that you were. Hopefully some of you guys will find today's conversation interesting. We'll talk a little bit about last night's incidents, but also beyond that, there are so many other things I want to talk about in regards to my life here in Ghana, 14 months in. So just want to say hello to everybody for joining. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you can hear me, just so I know you can before I jump into things. All right, so we got Spear Warrior. Finally, the notification works. Great. That notification should be working. I do know that when you are subscribing to the channel, let me just let everybody know that. All right, cool. So it looks like I can be heard on Instagram Live. Let me know if you can hear me on YouTube. When you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, what you have to do is when you hit the notification bell, you also have to hit all, so you get all notifications. It defaults to some or something like that, but you just have to hit all so that all the notifications get you notified. Otherwise, only sometimes it'll notify you. All right, Miss P says, hey, what's up, Miss P? And she can hear me. Great. Spear Warrior can hear me as well. Mariama Forbes is there. What's up, Mariama? Aaron George just joined. What is it, Vungama? Nice to see you. Okay, cool. So, man, this week is going to be a busy week. I got a lot going on. I think I told you guys a little bit about it yesterday. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch the live yesterday, go ahead and check that out. I met with Kenya and Masa, who we did a live last Monday, actually, or no, 2 Mondays ago, about their move to Ghana from the US and why they chose Ghana over Sierra Leone. Then we did a piece of content that you guys will see soon. We did a reaction video to Wodemaya's trip to Sierra Leone, based on the fact that we had a whole conversation about our experiences in Sierra Leone and what we're looking to do there and our expectations for what we'd like to see changed. And so yesterday we did our first of potentially many. We're just kind of testing it out right now, seeing how it goes, times and days. But we did what I'm calling diaspora discussions, where we talked about things happening in Africa and in the Black community around the world. So we may do more of it. We may not. We'll see. Depends on your response and what you guys think. So we'll give you guys what you want as you ask for it. But people did say they love their energy and they wanted to see more of them. So I decided to do that. These Monday lives are going to be more spent on specific updates on what's happening in my life here, because I know a lot of people who are thinking about moving or even visiting want to kind of hear how things are happening in real time. So I'll continue to do that. I'll talk about my job. I'll be talking about the house that I'm building, just everything pertaining to living here. And what it's like for me being someone who's Sierra Leonean American, growing up in the US and living full-time in Ghana. So for those of you who don't know, that's really what the YouTube channel is about. The Instagram page is a little bit more, and I'm talking to you guys on Instagram now, it's a little bit more all-encompassing. It's not just about my experience, but really, or with me in front of the camera all the time. A lot of times you'll see posts that are things that are happening in the community or things that are reposted. So just know that I'm the person behind it, for those of you who are joining for the first time. especially on Instagram. There's always new people joining on Instagram Live who may not know that I'm the person behind the Instagram page. But obviously on YouTube, you guys all know me because it's only me in the content that you're seeing. I've mentioned so many things before that are coming, and they are still coming. I had to leave my last role to really be able to give you some of the things that I've been saying. So merchandise is coming that you guys can order. If you want to get authentic African t-shirts, things like that, hoodies, masks, all those things are coming. So if you are down with the brand, you have merch coming. Also, I am planning to start doing more videos a week. I've said this, I think, for the past month. But because in my last role, it was really, really difficult for me to get anything done outside of my day job. I really couldn't get, I wasn't able to do what I've been mentioning that I was going to be doing. So that's coming. So expect that in April, you'll start to see more videos from me. We're planning to go 3 videos a week in April. And by sometime in the middle of the summer, potentially up to 5 videos per week. All right, cool. So that is who I am. That's the channel. That's what you guys can expect. Let's get into some of these topics. So first things first, I think the most important thing to talk about is this Thursday. Actually, let's wait till more people are on before I talk about what's happening this Thursday. I think that that's probably a better idea since there's still only a few people joining. I know that it takes like 15 minutes or so for the bulk of the group to start joining. So let me start with some other topics before I get into what's going on this Thursday, because I do want to make sure a bulk of the group hears it. Ben, I've been spending a lot of time on the phone and on emails all day. So you guys gotta bear with me when I space out a bit. All right, cool. So yeah, let's talk about the new job as people are coming on board, because I think that there's a lot of questions about the job and what I do every day. So I can start getting into that as we get more people on. The job has been really, really interesting, really cool. It's a technology company that provides advertising for websites and apps. Basically, that's the easiest way to describe it. They just simplify it for those companies. So we work with SmithsonianMagazine.com. You guys know Juicy Couture, that clothing line that's now trying to go online. We work with Al Jazeera America, Al Jazeera period, actually. We work with, what else? Sears, JCPenney, Barstool is one of the websites we work with. So we work with a bunch of different websites, and we help them put ads on their sites so that they can find another revenue stream, right? So that's the company, and I work for a company called Freestar. So that's what we do. What's been interesting going back and working for a company in the US and dealing with clients and prospective clients in the US is the relative ignorance about what's happening on the continent of Africa, and how little is known about Africa as a whole, right? I mean, some people still refer to Africa as a country when you talk to them, and they have to like correct themselves. Country, continent, yeah, continent, right? And it's unfortunate because that's what they're saying. And you should know there's 7 continents, and Africa is one of them. But it's just something that happens from time to time, and it's been interesting hearing people's thoughts and ideas, and whether they're a prospective client, current client, or colleague, there's a lot of confusion about Africa. And I wanted to take some time to go through some of the comments that I have already heard in the last 2 weeks. But first, let me just give a quick shout out. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Okamut? You have to help me out here. I'm sorry. I'm not the best with Nigerian names, unless I've seen it before, like Tolu or other names like that. Okay, but anyway, hi, just found your channel. I am from Niger. Nice work you're doing. Keep it up. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. I love that the Nigerian contingent is starting to get into the content on this channel. I will be in Nigeria next month, as a matter of fact. So you guys be on the lookout for more content from Nigeria coming next month and in the following months. Cause yeah, I'll be there for a couple of weeks. Um, you guys will find it interesting. I'll probably be staying on VI, Victoria Island. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be staying on Victoria Island. So yeah, yeah. But I'm going to have to get some content from Nigeria. I'm looking forward to it. I've been saying since I started my channel that I got to do some content in Nigeria, and now I have the chance. So I'm going to get a chance to go visit for a few weeks because my job is completely work from remote. I have no restrictions on where I can be and where I work from. So I'll be in Nigeria for a couple of weeks. Really quickly, Marva Got Cake is the name of the Instagram page. Says it's by design to keep our people in the dark and closed-minded. This is what when I was talking about. There's a relative ignorance about Africa and very little known when I talk to people now working for a company based in the U.S. Yeah. Oh, you said, "Oh wow, welcome." Yes, I'm excited to go. I'm excited to go. It'll be my first time. Some people have warned me. Some people have told me that's where I should have been living all to begin with. So, but I have some former work colleagues there and some friends there, so it should be really good. I do want to stay near Lagos, so I'm not going to get a chance to go to Abuja. I know that one of the recommendation is that Abuja is okay to go to. Victoria Island is probably where I'll spend most of my time. But yeah, I'll be in Nigeria next month. All right, so let's get into some of these comments. I like all of these topics that I want to go over are so important, and I wanted to wait till more people get on, but I have a feeling it's going to take a little while. So actually, you know what I'll do? Before I get into those comments, let's put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that. Let's talk about a real estate project that I have going on in Sierra Leone right now. That way, it gives time for those who tend to have more opinions to join and to hear about some of the comments that I've heard in my new job. Um, so yeah, so the house update. So you guys, as you guys know, I've been building a house in Sierra Leone. Right now, we've done a ton of different things. Like I had to fire two contractors. As many of you know, some of you are new to the channel, so you may not know that. But I've had to fire two contractors. The third contractor that I have is really really good. This guy is on it. He gets work done quickly, efficiently, and he does good work too. And so he has been like really, really pushing to get this thing done sooner than later. And he's done an amazing job so far. So I'm going to put out a video likely later this week that gives you like a walkthrough, and then you'll be able to see where we were as of last month. And then in short order, I'm going to do where we are as of this month, maybe in the following week, like next week. But basically, this project has finally started making some progress. So the boys' quarters, where the people who are going to be working in the house help or the housekeeper, and my driver are going to live. They that boys' quarters, which is what it's called, is the the roof is on. Now the next steps is to put windows, doors, plumbing, and actually wire it up for electricity and solar. So as of right now, we have a fully standing structure. Like it could be lived in today. It just doesn't have any doors or windows, and it doesn't actually have a plumbing system. But like it's a shelter currently without any of the major finishings. So we got to plaster everything. We got to put windows and doors in. And then I also have to work on the gutter out in the front of my property and opening up the gate a little bit. So all of that I'm going to share on video. I think I shared it in last month's video, but I want to make sure that it's clear that we're making progress finally. So more to come on that. I know people have been asking about that, so I will continue to share. Spear Warrior, I am not going to post what you just said. But I'm going to I'm going to Nigeria for the experience. No Narrative says, "Hey, what's up? What's up? No Narrative." I think what Spirit Warrior is talking about is the dating situation that I've spoken about previously, and her location being in Nigeria. So not gonna repeat. If anyway, if you guys are on YouTube live, you guys can see the comment live. But yeah, that's not why I'm going to Nigeria though. I'm actually going because I want to get a feel for Lagos. There's I know people who have pretty big networks there, and it's really been a place that I've needed to go and to continue to build my network in West Africa, but I haven't had the chance to, just because circumstances hadn't taken me there. And so now I have the ability to go without without anybody holding me back, and I can go for as long as I want. I can go to Sierra Leone for as long as I want. It doesn't really matter as long as I get my work done. So anyway, that is why I'm actually going to Nigeria. All the other things are additional benefits to that too. All right, cool. All right, so let's just get back into the job, right? Because people have been asking me about how my job has been, and so what I had mentioned before was the issue with American clients that I have, and some potential American clients who have been, and even colleagues in some cases, who have been ignorant to what Africa is like as a continent. It's real. The ignorance about the continent is real. So here are some of the things that I've gotten. So there's a website. I don't know if you guys know Louisiana State University, LSU, right? I think it's LSU. Yeah, Louisiana State University. Their school mascot, the university's mascot, is the Tigers. And so they have a website. Don't ask me why it's called this, but it's called Tiger Droppings, right? And the other day, I had someone, say to me, "That sounds more like a website that should be in Africa," right? I'm like, first of all, that's just a bad name for a website. First of all, because Tiger Droppings infers Tigers, going number two, right? Number one. But the fact that that was said, and it was said innocently, but it just was like, what? It's just one of those things that, like, and I know they didn't mean ill intent, and today is the day we could talk about people with jokes that don't land, bad jokes that don't land after last night's debacle. But yeah, I mean, I think that at first I took a step back and I was like, what? And it was just like, you know what? I was on the phone with, and yeah, anyway, it was in a public forum, so the conversation has to be had later. It can't be had in that forum because of who was on that call and who said it. But yeah, I mean, that was just like, okay. And it's interesting because these conversations that happen they're not, there's no ill will, right? I mean, these people are just saying what's on their mind based on what has been shown to them in media, right? So I can't really blame them. I blame the portrayal of Africa over the last 400 years and more recently in recent history. And that's part of why I know Wadamaya has his channel, why I have my channel, why many people are here trying to show all the different sides of the continent, so people can be aware that it's not huts and lions and tigers, right? Like, there are fully developed cities here. There's a rich history here. There are very well educated people here, and great businesses here. So all of these things I think need to be showcased, and that is part of the reason why I have this YouTube channel and the Instagram page, right? Is to help be one of those voices to showcase the continent in its full view, not just the way it had been portrayed in media for so long. Here's another one. So I got on a call, and this young lady says to me, what did she say? She said almost verbatim, she said, I'm totally gonna say what you say? I'm totally gonna say the. I'm trying to do her accent. I'm trying to get it perfectly. She's like, I totally gonna say the dumb white girl thing, but what kind of animals do you see outside, right? Like I was like, well, I'm not on a safari, right? Like, yeah, I'm not on a safari. Like, yeah, I mean, look, okay, there may be more animals roaming around than you might see, like stray dogs, things like that. But the question wasn't about that, right? It maybe sometimes goats because some people keep their goats out. Her question, I think, was more like, is it like a safari? Is there elephants, giraffes, lions, and tigers, right? Monkeys, etc. And how else would she know if she doesn't get a viewpoint from it other than what she's seen on maybe National Geographic or one of those Save the Children, you know, public service announcements that they do, or nonprofits or NGOs that do ads, right? That's the only frame of reference she has for the entire continent, which is crazy. Except Egypt, they know pyramids, right? And maybe they know about Nelson Mandela a bit. But like that's so that question wasn't with ill intent or malice, but it was really ignorant. And I had to be clear that like, no, I'm not on a safari. So, the animals I see are the same animals you see, except you know, sometimes people keep them outside instead of just in a slaughterhouse, right? Or caged. When you can go to factory farming, you can go to one of these farms and you can see that they're all caged. It's not like that, but it's the same kind of animals that you might see had people done farming the way it was meant to be done. And so yeah, I was more subtle than that, and it was more educative than annoyed. I was just annoyed, but I knew that I'm new to the company and I just want to make sure that I help people understand. I don't want to come at somebody for their ignorance, right? It's not their fault. I mean, technically is your fault because you have more access to information, but it's not something that they think about looking up. I mean, I'm the first person anybody I work with has ever worked with that is on the continent of Africa, right? In the realm that I'm in, there are very, very, very few people who look like me, let alone people who look like me who live on the continent of Africa. So there isn't much of a frame of reference for what the continent is like. And so, there's going to be very little knowledge. And so, I mean, I just do what I can to pass on the knowledge to help people out because, man, we as Americans are just bad at geography to begin with and world history in mostly period. But like, especially when it comes to Africa, because there really hasn't been much use for Africa for Americans, like there is in the Middle East and other places where people at least learn a little bit more about what's going on there, because there's more of a need for their natural resources by much larger institutions in the United States. So what is this? Osari. Okay. Is it Osari Matep? Is saying, bro, those people are trying to pretend and act stupid, thinking Africa is Lion King. Rather live among those animals than them. Well, that's what Marvin Got Cake said. Um, Rich Hippie X is asking where I'm living. I'm in Accra, Ghana. Let's see what else do we got. Any other questions? Okay, cool. All right, so some more questions. Let's see. Is it Manelik? Many people, including blacks in the West, still have the Tarzan idea and image of the motherland. Yeah, I mean that is a direct result of not so great education on the continent. So I should say education about the continent to Americans. I obviously had firsthand accounts of what at least Sierra Leone is like because my parents were both born and raised in Sierra Leone. So they would tell me about their lives in Sierra Leone. So I had a direct understanding of it. But many people don't have that, right? Especially if you're even Caribbean born or if you're a Black American, unless you decide to seek out that knowledge, there's not a lot of information given to you, right? Like I remember I appreciated this, but we read two books that were by Black authors, I'm trying to think if these were both in high school. Yeah, we read A Raisin in the Sun, right? And then we read, well, I didn't really read it because I didn't really read anything in school, which I should have, but I didn't. Anyway, Raisin in the Sun, and then Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, right? I didn't actually read that book, but I remember thinking like, okay, cool. We have an African author that they decided to have us read. And I'm not even sure if that was in high school, if that was in college. It might have been in college, actually. It probably was like English literature. It was probably in college. I don't know. But most of the time, what you get is British literature and British history, right? They don't talk about African culture and African history in most schools, whether public or private, around the United States, right? So people just don't have that information. All right, I'm gonna get to a few more comments, and I'm gonna get to the last one I got today from an Asian American, which was like, what? I know what he meant to say, but what he said was just way off. So I'm gonna get to it in a second. Miss P said there's also Google to get information about the continent. There is, but there's no interest in getting that information. They just know they don't find a need to find an interest in getting that information, and that's because there's nothing around them saying that this is interesting, right? So yeah, unfortunately, that's just how it is. Miss P, they are just willfully ignorant sometimes. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that I honestly think it's up to us to ensure that people get a different view, right? Because at the end of the day, media won't do it, and people aren't always going to be seeking out this information. But that's why I have a YouTube channel, because it can show up in someone's feed, right? Okay. No Narrative says your new job / coworkers are throwing up so many red flags. No, so it's not exactly my coworkers. In many cases, it's clients or prospective clients. But also too, it's not, again, like it's not it. And I want to be very clear. These are not people that have ill intent. It's people who have little context, right? They've never worked with or spoken to anybody from Africa, most of these people, right? Like anyone who's from the continent, period. They just do not come across these people in their everyday lives, right? So they have very little context. Now, I'm not making excuses for anyone, but they just haven't, right? So even my Black friends, some, when I told them that I was moving to Ghana, they were like, what? Why? What's there? You know, most people were like, oh, is there a girl there or something? Like people didn't believe that I thought that I could have a life here and improve my life here and build a future here. You know, like people that they were maybe not like close friends, because those people who were really close to me knew over a year's time that I was making the plan to move. But there were other people that that were acquaintances or friends that I've known for a long time. But we catch up every once in a while. And they were definitely questioning coming here. So I will just be very clear that it's an American issue. It's not just a white American issue. It is an American education issue. People do not care to learn or teach about the continent of Africa. It is really that. And so, yes, in my new job, that is something that I've experienced in my conversations. But long before I had this new job, I definitely was something that I heard from people of color in the U.S. for sure. There's actually a growing contingent of Black Americans who actually believe that there is a separation and should be a separation between the two. And there's even a growing contingent about there's bubbling up issues. There's like whole Twitter threads and conversations going on Clubhouse about the differences between the two. So I just want to be clear that yes, I've seen this in my role, and I've seen this with prospective clients or current clients, and even some colleagues. But I've also seen it with Black American friends too. And it just happens sometimes. But I'm also a person who's understanding of people's ignorance, because people do not always want to look for things that don't make itself obvious to them, right? Like Google is somewhere where you search. It's not giving you information. So people need to find a reason to search this information, and they're not. So that's why I'm doing a YouTube channel, though, because it can show up in someone's feed where they're looking at something else, and this can potentially show up to them, and maybe this can give them new information and new insight. Oh yeah, so no narrative loves that Chinua Achebe was read. You're sweet, but my tolerance for stupidity and being dense is non-existent. Yeah, I mean, look, I see nuance in every situation, right? I went to a boarding school in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which I call Pennsyltucky. Very conservative, right-leaning Hershey, Pennsylvania, and so I spent 13 years of my life around people who the first time ever meeting someone of color was coming to work at that school, and they had very little context for what we go through or what has been experienced by us in America, let alone knowing what's happening with Africans. And so I can imagine that there are very many people around the United States who their only frame of reference is what they see on TV, which is most people's frame of reference for anything, right? Just like most people don't know what's going on in Latin America, they don't know what's going on in Africa. They barely know what's going on in Europe. you know so yeah, I mean, I just look at it through that lens, right? I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, I'm also understanding because I know how little people are given information about this. So Jonah says, Joe, you may have not taken me seriously, but I'm literally at the airport on my way to Ghana. Oh, nice, Jonah. That's what's up. We probably will overlap because I'm here for a few more weeks. So definitely shoot me a note. I know we did connect, right? Yeah, you wanted to create some content. Yeah, so I just started a new job, so that my other email has been lacking. I need an assistant. Start checking my emails. My virtual assistant and my social media manager are busy doing other things, so I need like a real assistant to like keep track of all my calendars and all of my social, because it's getting a little out of hand. But yeah, Jonah, let's see what we can do. Shoot me some ideas for content, and let's see if there's anything we could potentially do together. All right, cool. All right, so okay, there's a couple of more comments that I want to get through before I get to this last statement that I that I heard today, which I was just like, really, bro. um it was crazy, but I did laugh a little. Just because I was like, what else can I do? I can't get mad. Okay, so there's a lot here, so let me just, wow, there's a lot. Okay, so a couple things. One, Asari Motep says, oh, is it Osar I'm Hotep? Is that what it is? Or is it Asari Motep? Let me know. How is nightlife in Ghana, clubbing and so on? I heard is magnificent, terrific. Yeah, I don't go out a lot. I go out. I mostly meet up with friends at like lounge type situations. But okay, I'll say this really quickly and then move on to keep on topic. But what I love about Ghana is a lot of the nightlife is outdoors. So you get like nice cool breezes, and it doesn't feel so claustrophobic. I'm not a big fan of like being in an enclosed space with a lot of people, especially in today's day and age. So for me, I prefer to be outside, and that's one of the things I really like about this place. Also, there's different kinds of nightlife here. You got places where you can go to live bands, you have jazz places, you have places that play all contemporary new music, like American music, Afro beats. Just really like there's a eclectic mix of nightlife here in Ghana. So far I've really liked it. I have a couple of spots that I really like. So yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice, the nightlife here for sure. I'm just a little old to be clubbing like that, but I have gone to a club or two since I've been here. Okay. All right, so we got a comment from Rich Hippie X that says, for me, it was being raised Christian. How does praising a white Jesus? Oh man, come on. It says, how does praising a white Jesus make sense? I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole and that discussion. But I don't know how I don't know how we got to that though, Rich Hippie. But yeah, I mean I think that we've all seen. I think even Yale just did a study, and based on a number of different factors, it, at least in their estimation, Jesus looked more like what seems to me is like I would say like Middle Eastern, Turkish, Middle Eastern sort of. It looks like, at least in terms of their interpretation. Um, and then of course other people say Jesus was black because the way his hair was described, right? Cotton, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, none of us can know because we can't see him. Okay, so Marva Got Cake says, in the Caribbean school systems, they taught us about who we are and where our ancestors come from. Plus, our parents instilled us never forget that we're African and that the motherland. Yeah, I think some. I do know some Caribbean Americans that, I mean, and they have their country pride, specifically in their country, and nothing beyond that. Especially some of the ones that I knew in New York. But I mean, I think it's props to your parents, and especially those who are around you who did teach you guys that obviously your history goes back to Africa, and the Caribbean was one stop on the way. From most conversations I've had, it's we've had a similar immigrant story, but it was like my immigrant story is about the move from West Africa to the US, and then some of my friends, their immigrant stories from the Caribbean to the US, and that's their frame of reference, and that was where we had a lot in common. Didn't hear much about, in their instances at least, and I don't know obviously every West Indian or Caribbean person in the US, but it seemed like most of their frame of reference was from where they most recently came from, not going back as far. But these were people who were born in the US like I was, so it's probably different if you're born in the West Indies. So yeah, I mean, I think that needs to be taught for sure. If it's not, and if it is, it needs to continue to be taught here, or not here, in the States as well. Okay. They don't even care to learn. Okay, so I think it's Osar, I'm Hotep. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Okay, they do not even care to learn about their own story. We have great teachers like Dr. Ben Joseph. If you want to know who you are, get to listen to that man on YouTube. There you go. A few people other joined. Oh, Brittany, what's up, Brittany? Just looking through to see if there's anything else. Okay. Osar Hotep said thanks for the info, of course, about the nightlife. Cool. Rich Hippie says that's what triggered the research of the continent of Africa. That's why. Okay, that's what he's saying. That's why the white Jesus was relevant. Okay, interesting. All right, cool. What else we got in comments on YouTube? David McCrae says hello. What's up, David? iTuber wants to get right into the topic of last night. The slap heard around the world. We will get to that, iTuber. We will get to that. And I'll put your comment on the screen when we can address it. I know it's topical, and I know it just happened, and I know that everybody's feed has been filled up with so many opinions across the spectrum. But again, my opinion is always nuanced, so I will give you my thoughts and ideas in a moment. But let me stick to the topic first, so that I can get to that. All right, cool. So, all right. So the last question, not even a question, statement that I heard today is, you kind of do the beginning of a call. You're like, all right, cool. So, so where you located? How's the weather? People do that, right? So I'm like, I'm in Accra, Ghana right now. And this person said to me, wow, you have perfect English. Wait, sorry. I know how that sounded. I know how that sounded. Sorry. I just, for lack of a better phrase, you have perfect English. I was like, do you mean to say I don't have an accent? Because there are many people on the continent that have perfect English, better English. I've been saying, somebody who's on the live right now, that they have a better command of the English language than I do in a lot of cases. So the fact that this guy can say, he literally said, wow, you have perfect English, as if, and I want to believe that he meant to say, I don't sound like I have an accent, which is actually an understandable thing, right? Because if I hear an American accent on someone who's here, I already presume they're from the US, and I ask them, when did they move here, right? But that's different from, you have perfect English. That phrase in which it was said is crazy. I wonder if that phrase would have been said to someone who was in Germany, it might have been phrased as you don't have an accent, not perfect English. Because I do think that there's a little bit of a condescension in that, in my mind, based on people's history and their understanding of the continent. But anyway, it is what it is. I corrected it and said, you know, I don't have an accent, but many people here speak perfect English. That's not a surprise. It's not a surprise that people here speak perfect English. It's more common than you think. Anyway, so those are some of the things that I've heard in this new experience. But I will say this, right? The most important thing that I would say about this role is that they understand the importance of expanding to the continent, for many different reasons. And so, I want to make sure we do so ethically, and we do so in a way that helps to empower people who have websites here to be able to build their businesses is as efficiently as possible. And that's part of what I plan to do with this new role. And I'll be able to have more of an ability to do that than I did in my previous role. So Menelik says, what is perfect English? It's a great question. I don't know. I think, I'm hoping that it was meant to say you don't have an accent, but perfect English. Anyway, it was corrected. But perfect English is not what I speak. I speak English pretty well, but I can tell you, I know people here on the continent who speak English better than I do, as I said. Use bigger words, find different phrases to use that I don't use. I use the dumbed down version of most things. I hear a lot of people say things in a way that I haven't thought of. All right, there's a whole conversation going on, or at least iTuber is starting a conversation about this Will Smith thing. We will get to it. I just want to get some of these other topics out of the way, because the idea was this live is supposed to be about what's going on in my life. But there's always a tie-in to what's happening elsewhere, because the conversations still do happen here. And sometimes the conversations are a little different here than what I see online there. So we will get to it as more people are joining. We're about 42 minutes in, and we're getting more people joining. So as we do, we will get to the topic of last night. I just want to have more people here to be able to speak about it, so we can get thoughts and ideas. All right. So that's the update on the house, the update on the new job. But by the way, I love the work that I'm doing. It's really interesting, and I have the opportunity to really help to make some serious change at an organization that could use my services, and also to be able to help people who own websites and apps here. The young Sierra Leonean says, Couche, what's up? What's up, the young Sierra Leonean? Shout out to you. Okay, so all right, let's get into the next item on the agenda, and that is, and you know what? By the way, I would love it if any one of the subscribers who watch these lives, if you could do time stamps on the different topics as we go along. iTuber has been great at that in the last some of the last few videos. That's been really helpful, because then it helps me go back and like see how I responded to things. Because I'm doing this live, so I don't always know what's going on or what I'm saying. I'm just going off the cuff, and so sometimes I want to go back and check what I've said. I have removed a live recently because it was a little too explicit and too much information was being shared. So it's always good for me to go back and check it. So I really would appreciate if anybody on the live, in the comments after we go, after this is replayed, and if you're rewatching this, if you could do timestamps. So like, 00.21 or 00:21 is 21 seconds in, and so on and so forth. Okay, so all right. So the last topic is a webinar that I'm doing on Thursday. And I just thought, so as you guys know, I am the co-founder and chairman of the board, or president of the board, of a nonprofit, DC-based nonprofit, DC and Sierra Leone-based nonprofit called Backgrounds Aren't Available in a Okay, let's do this is it available now? Backgrounds are available. You can crop a solo layout. Wait, what? All right, let me try this now. I'm trying to show this background, but it's not allowing me to. Sorry, guys, my audio was actually removed when I removed myself. What I'm trying to do is show a background, picture-in-picture layout, Shift+7. Are you guys seeing that picture-in-picture? I don't know what you guys are seeing. So the background's not working. All right, well, anyway, I guess it is what it is. I was trying to show you guys what there's a webinar happening this Thursday, and I'll send out the Eventbrite link to everyone. But there's a webinar happening this Thursday, and it's on the topic of the power of using digital to build your business online. And so many of you have asked me about what I do in my career, and then also what I'm doing with all these social media pages. And so what we're doing here is we're explaining to those folks who are interested how exactly you use the digital platforms to build your business online. So some of this is me doing some training. I'll be walking through how to pick a target audience, what platforms to choose, how to decide to choose those platforms, all those different kinds of things for your business. How I came up with my target audience for Authentic African and how it's shaping up today based on that. And then also we'll have 3 panelists talking about their experiences, right? Their businesses. So because it's Women's History Month, we have 3 women on the panel. The reason why I'm leading it as one of the only men on the board is because we wanted to ensure that someone who has this expertise is the one leading the panel from within the organization. So so our panelists are Marie. She's the author of the Redefined blog. We have Mafi, who's a hair enthusiast and a co-founder of a company called Femme Afrique. And then we have Henrietta, too, who's also another YouTuber who I met in Abri. She's a founder and she does and a marketing genius behind Brand E. So these people have either built businesses or helping other businesses build and grow online. Right. And so if you guys are at all interested in that, the link to the webinar is I'm going to put it here in the chat, and then it's also going to be in the description. Let me first find it. Yeah, so it's going to be in the description as well, where I'm going to have I'll have a link. Wow, I have so many things going on. I can't seem to find the link to the Eventbrite. So, okay, here we go. Here's the link to the Eventbrite. So I'm gonna add it to the chat. You guys can feel free to sign up, join, watch along. You can ask questions. Webinar. So the webinar is at 7 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST this Thursday. So I actually, if you look at my Instagram stories, I'm also going to be posting it every day. So if you just need the link, you can click on it there. But I'm also adding it to the comments here in the live as well. All right, cool. So if you have any questions about that, or if you want to join, just let me know. But yeah, so check it out. There was an error posting it. All right, let me know if you guys can see it, but you should be able to. All right, cool. So there were some questions about what happened with the Oscars last night, and it's been coming up a lot. So for those of you who have not been following, we might as well talk about it. And I'm going to talk about it more this weekend when we talk about the news of what's happening in Africa and the diaspora, but it's very topical. It's been all over my feed today, and so I feel like I should talk about it. So first, let's put up the conversation, the questions and the thoughts that that iTuber12 has. Okay, so sorry to change the topic, but did you see the Will Smith Chris Rock incident? My reaction was, whatever. Did that really happen? I usually don't care about entertainers, but wow. Okay, his quick take was, my quick take on it is Chris Rock is not some no talent shock comedian who only can get laughs for being cruel. I believe he didn't know about Jada's condition. I think Will was out of pocket though. And then he also says, would he have slapped Jerry Seinfeld like that? I don't know. And immediately afterwards, Chris was like, I could, and stopped himself. Chris was about to roast Will even more and stopped himself. Yes, that is true. And then lastly, you said, I think Will and Jada have a lot going on and should stop sharing it publicly, to say the least. If Will was my boy, I'd tell him to get away from her, but I understand it'd be messy. Okay. All right. So there's a lot there. All right, let's start with what happened last night. Um, so last night, Chris Rock was about to introduce another category, and as he was doing that, he was doing a little bit of monologue of jokes, telling jokes here and there, and then as he's talking about, you know, like there was a joke about uh, um, a couple who are both nominated, and there was like a little bit of joke about that, and then it was like he's hoping that Will Smith wins, and so he draws his attention to Will Smith. I think that either it was an off the cuff joke or it was a really poorly written joke for the people who either are on his writing team or he wrote it, or the people at the Oscars. But anybody should have known that if you're going to be making a joke on someone's appearance, you should know before you do that why they made that decision. Or just don't make jokes on people's appearance to begin with. Number one, because and this wasn't the first time that Chris Rock has said something that was a little aggressively mean, let's say, to Jada Pinkett, right? So she and a bunch of other people boycotted the Oscars in 2016. I think that might have been the year of or the year before Oscars So White, that whole thing where there were a bunch of people boycotting it, feeling like there weren't people of color represented in the nominations. And Chris Rock's joke was something to the effect of, and I would love to play the video, but I can't share my screen for some reason. But it was something to the effect of, first he said, wasn't she on a TV show? Like, discounting the fact that she wasn't invited. He basically said she wasn't invited, which is not true, because people all the time are invited who aren't nominated. But he said that, he said it, and it was kind of funny. He made this whole reference to, being invited. It's like him being invited to Rihanna's panties, it was like his relation to Rihanna's panties. He wasn't invited, but he also wouldn't turn down that invitation. But he went hard, right? Like he basically just was like completely disrespectful, and everybody laughed hard, right? So that happened in 2016. There were a couple things, right? One, I think, so just to be clear, Jada Pinkett Smith does have alopecia. She's talked about how hard it's been for her. And so she had to cut her hair because large chunks of her hair were falling out in the shower one day. And so I'm sure there's been all kinds of challenges that she's been having with that. I know that I'm dealing with some hair loss. I mean, it's probably hard to tell. You guys can't probably tell, but it's genetic. And so even from me as a male who going bald is just kind of a fact of life for a lot of men, I even deal with issues. I can't imagine someone like what she might be going through, right? And so so there's that, right? Then there's the last 12 months of entanglement plus, or last 14, 24 months of post-entanglement, etc., right? And I think that there's been a lot of jokes at not only his expense, but her expense. And then lastly, in his book and in more recent interviews after the book came out, Will did talk about the fact that he felt like he was weak and he was always putting on a show. And he felt like he was weak because his father used to beat his mother. He watched it and never did anything about it. And he was angry at himself that he never protected someone he loved so much. And I remember him using the word weak a few times when describing how he felt about not handling that. So then a situation like last night happens, right? Where on camera, what you can see is Will's laughing a little bit, but you see Jada's not happy. And I'm sure at some point he looks over to her and sees how she feels. And he gets up, walks over to Chris Rock and smacks him, right? Now, I know that Chris Rock made a documentary called, was it called Bad Hair? Was it called Bad Hair? and it was about where like a lot of weave comes from and like the process of it and the chemicals that go into hair. It's actually really educational, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are using that to describe how he's talking about Jada in this instance. But that documentary aside, he did that documentary and people talking about that. You know, he, you know, when you're going to talk about someone's appearance, you better know everything about why they appear that way, or you don't talk about people's appearance at all. You know, you could talk about their acting job in a movie, how bad a movie was, right? That's more in line with what you're doing on stage at the Oscars, jokingly. But to talk about someone's appearance when you don't know what's going on in their lives was just in bad taste. So if he was doing that as a joke off the cuff, bad joke. It was a fail. And if it wasn't that, it was pre-written, even worse, because you have time to do research before you put something like that out into the world. I do not agree with how Will Smith handled it per se. I do think that he should of course, you know, defend his wife, but that can be done in many different ways. Now I can't say that I don't know how I would act in that moment, so I'm not going to judge what he did. I would just say that's probably not the best way to have handled it. But like him yelling from his seat after he smacked him is a degree less than going up and smacking him, right? Or going up to him and educating him on why that's a bad idea. But I think there was already like what happened in 2016. There may have been other things since then we don't know about, and then everything else. I just think Will just went for it. Now I think some people are saying if it was Jerry Seinfeld or if it was somebody else, would he have gone up and smacked him? I don't know. Maybe not. But I also don't know if Seinfeld or anybody else would have continuously taken shots from a stage at Jada if they, like, most people wouldn't touch that topic, right? Because the documentary is called Good Hair. But yeah, the documentary that Chris Rock did was called Good Hair, not Bad Hair. Sorry, it's called Good Hair. And it was very educational, by the way. It was. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think it's a culmination of a lot of things, but I don't think that Will Smith handled it correctly. I think it was a joke in bad taste. And if Chris Rock knew, which, you know, obviously people who know him say he couldn't have known, whatever. Just in my mind, you don't make jokes about people's appearance, period. It's just not what you do. You have no idea what's going on in their lives. It's just not the way to go. You know, it's just, you just can't do that, you know, because you never know how there could be fallout from that, like what happened last night, right? You know, there's something that Charlemagne says, and I'm not one to quote Charlemagne too often because I was never a fan of him early on. I mean, I like who he's becoming, but you know, one thing that he says a lot, and I agree with, is, you know, freedom of speech is one of the basic human rights in the United States, right? You have the ability to have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of consequences, right? And so just like, you know, he had the freedom to be able to say what he wanted to say, whether it was a joke in bad taste or whether he knew or not, he didn't have freedom of consequences. Just like what Will did could have had other consequences, and he was not going to have freedom of consequences. I think luckily for him, the decision in the moment was not to remove him, probably because the Academy knew that he was going to win the award. And that would have been a strange incident to, you know, to have, right? Like you have the Best Actor award to be won, and the person who was going to win it isn't there. So it gave him the opportunity to apologize. Apparently, there were some people who talked to him, and he did apologize to the Academy. You know, look, it's just, it was all bad, right? It was just one thing after another. It was all bad, and it took away from other things. You know, like there were other things happening that night that were worth celebrating, that of course are not going to be remembered. What's going to be remembered is the slap heard around the world, right? Like it is what it is. That's just what it's going to be known for. And that's what's everyone's timelines, right? There's a lot of, if my husband doesn't stick up for me in that way, I don't want him to be my husband. Or there's this other side of, you know, he didn't know, so why did you respond that way? You know, I think, you know, none of us can know how we would respond in those instances if we're not them. All we can look back and say is that two things were wrong. At least I can say two things were done incorrectly in that moment. One, a joke was made about someone's appearance, which I don't think you should ever do. And two, how it was responded to wasn't handled the best way. Now, the joke was made publicly, so I do understand responding publicly in the same format and forum. I do remember hearing Will Smith say something to me when he was saying this, when he was winning his award, really meant something more than I think what he was actually saying. And he's saying, I'm being called on to love. He kept saying, he said it like 2 or 3 times. I'm being called on to love in my family. And I think what he's saying by that is he was being called on to do more than he was maybe prepared to do, and also maybe even to defend his family. He mentioned that King Richard was a defender, and I already told you that he said he saw his father beat his mother. So I think all of that played into him making a bad decision. So I'm not justifying his decision. I'm just saying I can kind of understand why he did that, even though I would like to think that would not be how I would respond, but I don't know, because at the end of the day, I'd like to hope that I would respond the same no matter who is disrespecting someone that I care about so closely and so much. But I'd like to hope that I would handle it in a way that gets the point across, but also doesn't distract from, what we're all here to do. And so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Okay, let me see. So is it Menelik? Yeah, Menelik says everything and everybody deserves a reaction or response. Simple as that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't control the reaction to the things that you do, but freedom of speech is the first of the amendments of the United States Constitution. The documentary is called Good Hair. I think Chris took it too far, but I think Will may have taken it too far. Yeah, I mean, and that's so is it Selwina? Selwina or Selwina? You have to tell me, is it Selwina? Is saying that may have taken it too far. Yeah, I think so. Somebody wants to go live with me. This is dangerous because this is a dangerous topic. Who wants to go live? Let me see. Catherine Smith wants to go live. Catherine Smith, I can't see you. You want to go live? How do you think this incident will affect the way Black artists and actors are viewed and portrayed in Hollywood? So to answer that question, how do I think it? I don't know if it'll change much about how they're viewed, to be honest with you. I think people who have their viewpoints already, that's not going to change. I think what it will change is probably not allowing people to get up out of their seats, except to do standing ovations and sit back down. Like they'll probably have ushers. If you decide you want to get up and go to the bathroom or something, they'll probably have ushers come get you. They'll probably change that, but I don't think this is going to change anything about how Black artists are perceived in Hollywood. They're already perceived in certain ways by certain groups of people. I don't think changes anything, because the person who did the smacking was at one point in time bigger than what The Rock is now, right? He had a blockbuster movie every summer, Men in Black, Independence Day, all the way to I Am Legend, right? So I can't imagine that there's going to be any change in the way people see Black actors in Hollywood at all. And I think Chris Rock is also one of those people that's universally liked. And so I don't think, it's that like that OJ syndrome where it's like, I think people are seeing them as actors, maybe not Black. Right. So I think both of them don't really, I don't think. Now, I think if it was like The Game on stage and 50 Cent walked up there and slapped him, I think that'd be a different thing, right? Because of how they're perceived by the broader public and because of their music and how they're seen. I think that might have had a different perception. But I don't think that really changes much. Yeah, I don't think it changes much. But let me go back to my first thought. I thought it was fake. I didn't even watch the story. people kept I saw it late last night or early this morning, and I didn't even watch the video because I was like, there's no way this is real, right? There's no way this is real. There's no way. And it was, or at least it seemed to be. At least it seemed to be. All right, no narrative says, excellent breakdown, Joe. When you explain it that way, it seems performative and very much an extension of his acceptance speech. Now I have questions. Okay, fair. Maybe so. Maybe so. I mean, look, he may have come off the cuff with the statement saying that, King Richard was a protector of his family. Maybe it may have been performative. He's an actor. Will Smith is an actor, and actors have been known to be performative, right? And to their detriment in some cases. Jesse Smollett, for instance, we talked about yesterday. So yeah, I mean, it can happen, and that's a possibility. I can't prescribe his thought process at all, but part of me thought, I don't know if it was performative, because I don't know if he didn't know he was going to win, right? I thought it was maybe more performative for his wife, and for himself. I thought that him walking up on stage and doing that was, I think, and this is allowing me, not being a psychologist by any means, is me thinking he's trying to make up for who he hasn't been thus far. He doesn't think he's been, right? He kept saying he's weak. He kept saying that he's been putting on this persona. He kept saying these kinds of things when his book came out. And so I feel like he probably, as he thought about it and he was enraged, I think there was probably part of him thinking, I need to do something to change this, to change how he feels about himself, maybe for his wife to see he's sticking up for her, considering he probably has seen her dealing with this in a private way, in a way that none of us could even understand what she could potentially be going through, unless you have alopecia, right? And so, yeah, it could be a number of different things. I don't know, but I do know that he has had a lot to say about not standing up for people in his life, and this might have been the way that he felt was a way that he could do that. He was given the opportunity to, and he selected this way to do it. Okay, Miss P says, I don't think Chris Rock knew she had alopecia. Will was dead wrong for slapping him like that, especially since he laughed at the joke. He thought it was funny until Jada didn't think so. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the sentiment of a lot of people. I don't think that Chris Rock knew. I can't know that what he knew or what he didn't know, but I'm gonna assume that he didn't know, because he went back to trying to explain the joke. Which, by the way, all things aside, whether she had alopecia or not, it's a bad joke, right? Like, G.I. Jane was a movie where Demi Moore, she shaves her head and she's in the military, whatever. G.I. Jane 2, it just wasn't good. It wasn't a good joke. So even it was just a bad joke altogether, whether she has alopecia or not. It was a bad joke. And Chris Rock has been a couple times has made some bad jokes recently. And obviously people are bringing up that video from HBO, which I've been dying to talk about this for a while, and I never had a reason to. Me and my friends had this conversation when the Louis C.K. thing came up, when the Joe Rogan thing came up, because comedians say these wild things. But anyway, going back to this instance, let me not get off on a tangent. Yeah, I don't think Chris Rock knew. I think if he knew, he probably would not have told that joke, whether there was writers in the writer's room writing the joke, or if he was planning to, if he just decided to make the joke off the cuff. I don't think he would have told that joke had he known that and known what she was going through, especially because what he was saying was, I could have gone another way. You could see that he was saying, I could have gone another way, but I just made like a lighthearted joke. Because I think what he was trying to do was set up a joke by saying Jada and getting everybody's anticipation and then hitting them with something else. I think that that's what Chris Rock was trying to do, right? Because I think as he was saying it, I didn't see it in real time. I already knew what happened, but I can imagine he was going that way and then he hit you with something else. but it just the joke fell flat already, and then she's dealing with the alopecia thing, and and you could see because the audience didn't really laugh at the joke. You could tell that it fell flat already. And then I mean, some people laugh. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but that's what people do. They do courtesy laughs in the Oscar audience, right? Um, but it wasn't funny, right? We've all heard funny jokes, universally funny jokes, and that one wasn't good. Um, so yeah. I mean, I just think that he just made a joke in poor taste, and it was a bad idea, and highly well, it's unrecommended. I would never recommend telling a joke like that. All right, cool. I told you guys I have a nuanced view. I'm not going to go one way or the other. I think that oh, I will say this too though. Let's be very clear that, right, like there's two things that I hear a lot of that I myself have a difference of opinion on than what I hear people that I know say and people who I have looked up to in this world say. One is this idea of being petty, right? Because I think that that's like the lowest common denominator, right? People like to talk about how petty they are, right? The pettiness meter, and I'm so petty, right? Why is being petty being looked at as such a positive thing? It's like being jealous being looked at as something that's positive. It's not. These are not, well, it's fine to have these feelings. It's not fine to react in a way outsized way, right? And so I think this idea of pettiness is just one thing that doesn't make sense to me. And then the other thing is equating protecting our Black women with a physical response to somebody in this situation. I think there are other places where it requires a physical response, right? If there's someone that's physically attacking someone, if there's someone that's if she's being physically attacked, or if she's being berated and she can't get away, I think that requires a physical response to the person who's assaulting, right? That's clear, right? It's clear and present danger in so many different ways. You need to neutralize that and physically handle that, right? I don't know if the best way to deal with a situation like this is physically, because you know that it's never the way to solve an issue that is not a physical issue, in my opinion, right? I don't think that it makes sense to do that, and for so many reasons, that's just a wrong thing to do, in my estimation and what I believe, especially because what it does is it now furthers the idea that that is the proper response for something that may not be the proper response for, in my opinion. You may disagree with me, and it's okay. I think we're all allowed to have our opinions, but in my opinion, I don't think that a physical response was warranted. Maybe yelling. I actually would not have had a problem. It would have been awkward, but I would not have had a problem with him saying that maybe once or twice. Now he said that he dropped the F-bomb, which I knew Will Smith to not be a person who cursed in his music for a while and all that. And then, later I heard him curse on the Breakfast Club more recently, a few years ago. And then, there. So that was a little jarring to me because, I'm just not used to hearing Will Smith curse. But I mean, I get it. He was protecting. So I could see that outburst, but the slap, I really don't think that was the way to go. Okay. So Nonera says, if you smack Chris Rock, open hand, by the way, no one takes it too seriously. I feel like Will's thought process was, I'm Will Smith, I can get away with this. Sounds like hubris, maybe. Maybe he thought that much through it. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if he thought that much through it. But maybe he did. He's a very, very smart person, so there's a possibility that all these things came through his mind beforehand. Or maybe it wasn't even any of those things, because I mean, if you know Will Smith now, you know that his way of handling things physically is an open hand slap, apparently, right? Because you remember that reporter who tried to kiss him on the red carpet and he smacked him. Now, let's take it back, because this is something else that I didn't even think about. When he slapped that guy on the red carpet, right? when he slapped that guy on the red carpet, I think he was doing press for a movie. I can't remember what movie it was. I think it was Bright. He was doing press for Bright, and there was a reporter or like a shock jock that tried to kiss him. I think he kissed him on the mouth, right? He smacked him, and I for a while he was on that press run, he was talking about it, and he was received so positively for doing that. So he got positive reinforcement for smacking that guy, and people understood like the guy was in his personal space. He doesn't know him. He smacked him. I get it. I get it. Right. Because he's like, what's this like? And obviously security didn't stop it. Right. So again, there was a situation where somebody's all in his personal space. He doesn't know the person. He smacks him. I remember him specifically talking about how Jay-Z called him and gave him props for it, right? And I remember him saying that whether it was on a Breakfast Club or somewhere else. So that also probably was in his mind, right? That's a solution. When something is something I don't like and I feel something, my solution can be to open hand slap someone. Because it worked before. Just like I feel like Kanye does a lot of one-line statements publicly because one time he did it and it really worked in his favor, and he continues to do it now and not understanding why it's not having the same response. Like when he said George Bush doesn't care about black people, right? And everybody applauded him for it. I think I think it continued to reinforce that action, leading up to Taylor Swift taking a mic from her and everything else he's done. I think in the same way that might have been reinforcing that behavior for Will Smith after he smacked that dude on the red carpet a few years back. Maybe. All right. So No Narrative says, we can't continue to use social platforms and public forums for our personal therapy and not expect criticism. Yes, true. I think you mean criticism of, okay, yeah, of what potentially could be going on in their marriage. True. That might have contributed to yesterday, but that might have contributed to yesterday. But I mean, of course, yesterday, the joke wasn't about that in particular. The joke was about alopecia, which, by the way, was stated publicly. I honestly didn't know that she was talking about this. I knew that she shaved her head, but I actually didn't know that she explained it on Red Table Talk or like a vlog or something. I wasn't aware of that, so I didn't even know. So I actually had to read that in an article and then go back and look at it to know, because I was like, what is going on? Once I saw the smack, I was like, how did this happen? All right. I saw with the guy who tried to kiss him, that was crazy. Oh yeah, when he smacked the guy. Yeah, so I mean, this is Will Smith when he smacked the guy, right? He smacked it was a viral moment. You guys remember that. And so I do feel like that might also have something to do with him smacking Chris Rock yesterday. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people having a lot of statements about this. And I think the best way to look at it is that two people can be wrong. That can exist at the same time. And there also could be an alternative, even though we might not know the answer to the alternative, which is probably why his reaction wasn't what it was. I mean, the tension, because the thing is that when jokes are told from the Oscar stage, they pan around the room. The room is completely quiet as these jokes are being told. So it might have had a similar impact if he said what he said after he smacked him, but only just said that and not smacking him, right? I think I think Chris Rock might have gotten it. Maybe. We don't know, because we have no other way to see this, right? We don't live in a parallel universe where that's the way it went, and he smacked him afterwards or didn't smack him at all, right? So all we have is the way it happened. But I think that probably would have been a more acceptable response, and I think he would have gotten applauded the same way from most people who applauded him for smacking Chris Rock, and I think it wouldn't have had the also the negative response that you're seeing from so many people as well. I mean, some people would have been like, oh, that's not the right place to do it, Oscars, whatever. But at the end of the day, I think most people would have understood, based on the circumstances, that response. I think it does confuse people because he did laugh at first at the joke, right? So I think that, but I mean, he probably looked over at his wife, saw her face because she was not happy. It was clear. And he probably, it probably reminded him of like what he's been dealing with at home. So yeah, anyway, that's enough of that topic. I was supposed to leave it open to ask anybody if they wanted to ask me any more questions about what life has been like for me here. Oh, let me just explain that when something like this goes viral, people here see it. And I've had a couple conversations today with people here, and I think they're just as divided, at least in my conversations, as my friends have been on what I've seen them responding on social media. Right? I think people live in their filter bubbles no matter where. Um, and so that can be a thing. Okay, so there's a bunch of comments that I didn't even notice. Okay, so Asr Hotep says hair loss is not genetic. This means the body is very acidosis. Clean your lymphatic system by juicing veggies, fruits, etc. I lost it. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And then drinking, eating them, stay away from starchy foods, meat, fish, milk, etc. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can disagree that that it's not genetic. I think it is genetic. I think that there are certain things that you can do to exacerbate certain conditions that you can be born with, but there are a lot of conditions that you can be born with. And I don't think that and I think that you're probably predisposed to a lot of things. Maybe your food and your health might exacerbate, but I definitely think that that hair loss can and is genetic. Because I can tell you, I spent some time eating very, very healthy foods, and it did not change anything in my hair loss challenges that I had. Okay, so let's see. There's a lot of people that joined and jumped, but there were some questions, so I want to get to those questions before we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised too many people are okay with Will's behavior. It's fair for him to be upset at the jokes, but not okay for him to hit him. That's flight to film. We agree. Yeah, I think we agree on that for sure. All right, cool. Any other comments? Okay, so Wine is asking if I have any house update. I did do a house update earlier in the live. If you want to just watch it back, I mentioned it in the live where we are, and I am going to do a video, hopefully this week, that that goes through the last where we are on the stage right now. But yeah, we're making progress. We're definitely making progress. I'm excited about it. All right, cool. We are an hour and 23 minutes in. I do have a webinar to prepare for and plenty of work to do. I have like 3 major deliverables for my new job this week. And so I'm going to be working on those tonight and the rest of the days of this week. So remember, check out the webinar on Thursday, 7 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST, 12 p.m. Pacific. It's all about the power of digital marketing and the strategies for sustainable business growth using online platforms. So again, Thursday, March 31st, 2022 at 7 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to learn more about that and what some people here are doing, definitely a good one to join. As I said, I'm going to be the moderator. I'm also going to be a presenter as well. I'm presenting some stuff that I usually present to some of the startups that I work with here. So you'll get a little bit of behind the scenes of what I teach some startups about building their brands online. And as you guys can see, I practice what I preach, right? Consistency, knowing your target audience, et cetera, et cetera. That's how I built my social platforms. And so that is why I like to pass on this knowledge to other people, because I spent over $60,000 in courses learning what I can about monetizing in the digital ecosystem. Okay. With that, if there are no more questions, comments, topics, we're going to bring this live to a close. I do want to thank you all for joining. Always appreciative. Always a great conversation. Hopefully my view was nuanced and different from what you've seen in your feeds all day today. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But this is just the way I see the world, right? I try to look at through it through a lens with historical context, but with also an understanding of why somebody might do the thing that they do, as much as I can. Oh, Pro Women just came in. You got to watch the replay. You got to watch the replay. We talked about a bunch today. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this content, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share it with anybody you know who's planning to move here. And with that, guys, I'll see you all in the next video.